Hey guys, this is a video to talk you through your lesson here for Thursday, March 11th. Today is going to be an asynchronous day. I have some medical appointments, so I'm going to have to provide you your lesson this way today. First thing to note is that you have a different attendance form. So if you are a remote learner only, you need to make sure that you're taking attendance off of this form. If you click on it, it looks a little bit different than my typical one, because this goes to the front office. So make sure that you're putting in your first and last name, what class period you have, put in Ms. Schaefer here for the teacher, and then whether or not you are a hybrid or a 100% remote person. If you are in person today, then the substitute will take attendance for you, so you don't need to worry about it. There will not be any live Zoom calls or anything like that today. So everything that you do will be coming from this video, and then the work that you do alongside it in Pear Deck. So your learning target for today is to be able to find new terms, the next few terms of a decimal sequence, and we're going to try and do that with and without number lines. You're practicing being inquirers, thinkers, communicators, risk takers, and reflective. You could start your day with your mindfulness. So you could take your 2 minutes. This is our music that is linked, and you can take some time to draw on that to get yourselves ready for your learning. Obviously, making sure you're watching this video to begin with. It will talk you through today's lesson and what you need to do on the Pear Deck slides as I step you through kind of each slide that I'm wanting you to complete. So today we're going to do our first mini lesson. These are coming from, I remember, our Math Navigator books. So this is called Navigator Session number 2. You're going to join Pear Deck. You can click through this link at the top once it's available and get in through Google Classroom. And then you should complete all of these slides and make sure that you also get them turned in today, so you can mark them as done in Google Classroom when you finish. And that's how I'll know that you have completed them and you're ready for me to view them. When you're finished with your Pear Deck slides for Navigator Session 2, then you're going to move into MobyMax. This is our extra credit. You're going to work in either the Math or the Fact Fluency tab in MobyMax. The choice board is here for extensions if you need it. And don't forget to do your exit ticket today as well. So I want to know, what would the next few terms of this sequence be? Remember, no school tomorrow on Friday, March 12th. And so that takes care of the rest of our week. We should get our Navigator session and our exit ticket turned in today. The rest of these assignments we've been working on the last week, and then we had Wednesday to spend some time getting them done, so hopefully they are completed and turned in as well. So your starting point is going to be to go ahead and join Pear Deck. So I'm going to have you click on the link that will be available right here on the daily agenda, and that will take you into Pear Deck. And your Pear Deck presentation will look like this. This is what our mini lessons will look like. There will be a few slides for you to complete. You can pause this video as you're working, stop, and make sure you've got your slides done, and keep kind of going back and forth between the video and the Pear Deck slides. So this is Navigator Session 2. We are working on decimal sequences using number lines. We always start out with some sort of social emotional learning slide. So this is a stress check. So think about where you are today. Are you kind of over here in a green, where you're in a good space and you can focus? Are you kind of in the orangey yellow, where, yeah, we've got some things stressing us out, some stuff that's bothering us, but we can still focus? Or are you way up here in like a red, where you're having a hard time managing emotions or behaviors, and maybe you need to speak with a counselor to try and get some support? So you can move your bar to wherever it is that you are today. Okay. So our learning goal is to be able to find the next few terms in a decimal sequence, and we're going to try and do it with and without a number line. Here's our warm-up. So we have Marita, who wants to buy some chips that cost $1.20 from a vending machine. But the exact change light is on. She doesn't have any dollars, but she does have quarters, dimes, and nickels. Which coins could she put into the machine to make the $1.20 exactly? So if I think about this, I like to go with quarters to try and build a dollar, because I know I've got to get up to $1.20. So I might add in a quarter, so 25 cents. And that means that I've added in a total of 25 cents into the machine. I might do the 4 quarters to get up to $1. So I'm going to add another quarter, and my total would get me up to 50 cents now. I'm going to do another quarter, and that would get me up to 75 cents. This is an idea of a decimal sequence. I'm going to add one more quarter to get up to one whole dollar. So I'm getting close. I need to get up to $1.20. I know dimes are 10 cents, so I could add a dime and then another dime. That would get me up to $1.10. And if I add one more dime, then I'd be at exactly $1.20. Okay. This is not the only way that you could solve this problem, but it's one way that would work. On the next slide, you need to solve it in a different way. So maybe I like dealing with the quarters and getting up to $1, or I could play around with different combinations of coins. I'm going to still use my 4 quarters to get me up to $1, but then I'm going to change it slightly. And instead of playing with dimes, maybe I'll play around with nickels. So I'm going to add my 4 quarters. Here's 50 cents. Another quarter would make 75 cents. And then one more quarter would get me up to $1. But instead of adding dimes, maybe I add nickels. So maybe I add 5 cents. That would make $1.05. And I could continue to repeatedly do that as well. Another nickel would be $1.10. Another nickel would be $1.15. And I could do one last one to get to exactly $1.20. Again, these are not the only ways you could do this problem. There's lots and lots and lots of ways. You just need to get to exactly $1.20 using only quarters, dimes, and nickels. All right, we're going to practice skip counting. So we're going to do some skip counting using a number line to make sure that we are jumping by the same amount. We're skipping by 0.2. So you'll see on your number line, you're jumping 2 of the small jumps to make this big jump. Okay, so I'm going to jump that again. I land at 0.4. I'm going to jump that again. I land at 0.6. I'm going to think about jumping that same size jump and think about where I would land. So that's going to land me at 0.8. And if I do that same size jump again, I'm going to land not at 0.10, 2, 4, 6, 10, but it actually turns into the whole number 1. Then I'm going to jump the same size jump again. This should really be 1.2 and 1.3 and so on, because these are all past 1 whole. So the next one's going to land at 1.2. And then we're going to jump again. That's going to be 1.4. And one last time, I'm jumping up to 1.6. Okay, so noticing how the decimals are changing. I kind of see a pattern in my numbers. It's going 2, 4, 6, 8. There is no 10, because if I put 0.10, I would really end up way back here at 0.10. There's an imaginary 0 there behind there. That 0.1. So we kind of jump up to 1 whole, which is like 10, 1.0. And then it goes 1.2, like 12, and then 14, and then 16, but with decimal numbers instead. So now we're going to try it with quarters. So I'm skipping by 25 cents. These are going to look a little bit different in our jumps. 25 cents means doing the 0.2 and half of the next jump. So you're doing a big jump and a little jump. I might follow that and back it up with the little size jump and then the big one, so that I can kind of make sure that I'm landing in the right spot. The next one is 0.5, 0.5. This is like 50 cents, right? I could fill in with that imaginary placeholder behind it. Then maybe I do the big jump and the little jump. I'm landing in between the 7 and the 8. That's going to be like 0.7, and then we add a 5 behind it. So 0.75. So this is like 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents. The next should be $1. I'm going to do the half jump and then the big jump. So my separation between my jumps is happening where I see a separation and I have big jumps and the half jumps happening. Okay, there's another one that's going to happen right here. Then I'm going to jump the big jump and the half jump. I'm landing in between the 1.2 and the 1.3. I have to call it 1.2, and then I fill in with a 5 for the halfway point. So 1.25. This is like $1.25. I'm going to do the half jump and the big jump. That's going to get me to $1.50, 1.50, 1.5. And then the big jump and the half jump. That gets me to 1.7. I'm in between the 7 and the 8, halfway. So 1.75, $1.75. Again, I'm seeing the separations between my jumps where I have the big jump and then the half jump. All right, it's kind of creating a pattern back and forth between the two. So on the slides that I'm grading, anything with this yellow title at the top is going to be a slide that I'm grading, okay? So we're going to skip by 0.05. That's like a nickel. We're going to skip by nickels and think about what those would look like on our number line. Nickels are half jumps. This is 0.5. 0.05 means halfway because this is like 0.10. So I'm only jumping by little half jumps each time. So my next jump is going to land me at 0.1 or 0.10. My next half jump, I'm halfway between the 1 and the 2. So I have to call that 0.1, and then I add the halfway, which is a 5. So this is going 5, 10, 15. Next, I would expect 20, 0.2. So if I jump it out, that is where I would land for my next half jump. If I jump again, it's going to be 0.2, but I'm halfway between 2 and 3. So 0.25, 25. Again is going to be 0.3, 30. Again is going to be 0.3, halfway, so 0.35. So again, I'm noticing that pattern, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. The next I would expect to be 40 or 0.4. And if I jump it out on my number line, yeah, that's where I'm landing, 0.4. Remember, I can always fill in with those 0 placeholders behind the number. Okay, skipping by 15 cents at a time. So that's going to be doing a big jump and a half jump, 1.5 each time. 1.5 each time. First one I landed at the 15 cents in between the 0.1 and the 0.2. I'm going to do the half jump and then the big jump. Okay, so each time I'm kind of alternating if I'm starting with the big or with the half so that they kind of line up nicely. So I'm landing at 0.3. I could also make this 30 cents by filling in with that placeholder behind. So these are going to skip by 15s and add 15 on each time. I'm going to do the big jump and the half jump. It's landing smack dab in between the 4 and the 5. So I call it 0.4. And then I have a 5 behind it. So it goes 15, 30, 45 cents. Then I'm going to do the half and the whole. I'm landing exactly on 0.6. Or I could make that 6D, like 60 cents. I'm going to do the whole and then the half. I'm landing exactly smack dab in the middle between the 7 and the 8. So I'm going to call that 0.7 and then 5, like 75 cents. We're going to do the half jump and then the whole jump, landing exactly at 0.9. I could fill in with the 0 to make it look like 90 cents. I'm going to do the whole jump and then the half. Be careful with this one. I'm in between one whole and 1.1. One whole would be like 1.0. If it's halfway between 1.0 and 1.1, then I add the 5 behind, so 1.05. And then a half and a whole. My last one, I land exactly at 1.2, and I can fill in with the 0 placeholder. Again, these should be going up by 15 cents each time, and we're using our number line to check to make sure that they are. This time you're going to subtract. So you're going to work your way down. Starting at 6.4, you're going to subtract 0.3. This number line looks a little bit different. It doesn't have all the hundredths on there. These are just my tenths. So to recognize 0.3, you're really looking for 3 little jumps in between, right, to make this big jump. So you can kind of help and make sure that you are jumping the right way by visualizing down below. Do I have 1, 2, 3 jumps? Okay, so I have 3 jumps. I'm landing at 5.8. I'm jumping to the left with subtraction instead of jumping to the right. I'm going to make my jump, make sure that I have 3 on the bottom. Yep, I do. This one's landing in between. It's in between 5.4 and 5.6. That's going to be 5.5. I'm going to make my jump, making sure that I have 3 small jumps underneath, and I do, and I landed exactly at 5.2. I'm going to make my jump again. I'm landing in between 4.8 and 5. That would be 4.9. Making my big jump. It has 3 little ones underneath. Yep, I'm landing at 4.6. Making my big jump, again, making sure I have 3 small ones. That landed in between 4.2 and 4.4. So that would be 4.3. One more time is going to land me exactly at 4. And then I'm going to be down into the 3s. So this one hits in between 3.6 and 3.8. That's 3.7. Okay, so subtraction means you're going to jump to the left instead of to the right. So we're going to skip down by 0.2. We're going to start at 1.85. Here's 1.8. 1.85 means halfway between. So it's going to start right here, halfway between the 1.8 and the 1.9. And it's jumping down by 0.2. So this would be 0.1. This would be 0.2. Right? I'm doing 2 jumps of the same size. That landed in between the 1.6 and the 1.7. So this is 1.65. And then I'm going to do 2 full jumps again. I kind of have to go from the halfway to the halfway. I'm landing in between 1.4 and 1.5. So that's going to be 1.45. I'm halfway. And I'm going to make those 2 same size jumps again, thinking about where I land, in between 1.2 and 1.3. So that's 1.25. Again, I'm noticing a pattern here. It's going 85, 65, 45, 25. Okay, think about your even numbers. Let's do our next 2 jumps. I'm thinking it should be 0, 5. So I'm landing after 1, halfway between 1 and 1.1. Remember, 1 is like 1.0. So if I'm halfway, then I add the 5 behind it, 1.05. Now I'm jumping down into the 9s and 8s, 0.9s, 0.8s. So here I have between 0.8 and 0.9 would be 0.85, 0.85. This is kind of starting my pattern over. I had 1.85, now I'm at 0.85. My guess is my next one would have 65 in it. So let's see if that works out. So 1 jump, 2 jumps. I'm landing in between, 6 and 7. So I'm going to call it 0.65. 2 more jumps, landing in between 4 and 5, so 0.45, and that pattern is continuing. I have 8, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5. My last one is probably going to be 2, 5. And it is. I'm landing in between 2 and 3, so 0.25. So pay attention to patterns as you're filling in your numbers. That will be helpful. All right, we're going to skip. This is our last one, skipping by 0.1, and we're adding on this time. And we're going to start at 3.51. Here's 3.5. 3.51 is that very next little itty bitty line right next to it. And what we're jumping, we're adding, so we're going to be moving to the right instead of to the left. What we're jumping is one whole big jump, so that when I land, I should be on the first line there behind the 3.6. So that would be 3.61. And then I'm going to do that same size jump. I'm going to land right there behind 3.7 on the first line. So 3.71. Do it again. It's going to land right behind 3.8 on the first line. So 3.81. Again, I'm going to land on the 9 right behind the 3.9. So 3.91. I'm right after the 4. 4.01. 4 is like 4.0. And then I'm adding the 1 on, one extra little jump. 4.11. 4.21. And my last one is going to land on 4.31. So making sure you're following that pattern. 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8, 1, 9, 1. There's no 10. It jumps one more over into the ones place. And then we kind of start over at 0, 1. 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1. Pay attention to your patterns. So you have your reflection. All of the jumps should be the same size or the same amount on the number line. So the same size. If you are adding, you jump to the right. If you are subtracting, you jump to the left. Right? Here's the reflection. Your only last thing is your thumbs up, thumbs down. So how well did you understand this lesson? If you're like, yep, I've got it all. I understand the patterns. I understand how to jump on the number lines. You could be here at the green. If you're like, this was terrible. I have no idea how to do any of these problems. You could be at the red. And you could be somewhere along the spectrum in between. Maybe you've got most of it, but you're struggling maybe with a few of the number lines when you have different size jumps going on or something like that. So let me know kind of where you are. You want to make sure that you look back through your slides and have every slide completed. Then you're going to turn it in. So you're going to go into Google Classroom and make sure that you turn in Navigator Session number 2 by marking it as done. This is your way that you tell me that you're ready for me to grade. Then continue working through your daily agenda. So next would be MobyMax, working on extra credit in the math or fact fluency tabs. Then you can choose something from the choice board. And don't forget to do your exit ticket today before you leave. So what would be the next 3 terms in this sequence? 35, 45, 55. what would be the next 3? Okay. Today, make sure you get these things turned in, your Navigator Session 2 and your exit ticket for today. You can also make sure you have all of your other assignments for Math Seminar completed and turned in as well. All right, guys, thank you. Have a great weekend. Remember, no school tomorrow, and I will see you next week on Wednesday. Bye.